From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a huge afternoon of Afternoons LALATE as I'm back with breaking news about your fourth stimulus check of 2021 today. The fourth stimulus check will likely give you more stimulus checks from those Democrats as Delta ravages out of control. In this recording, we'll be going over that monthly stimulus check. Then we cut to the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. This is not third stimulus. This is everyone else. This is adults, seniors, and everyone across the board. We'll be going over the vote, the bill, and the date, and everything you need to know about this fourth stimulus recon in this recording. Then we cut to the final 15 of the final 7. We'll be going over another vote set for tonight. Yes, another vote. It's ironically the same vote that happened on Wednesday and the same vote that happened last week. Why are they doing this 3 times? I'll explain the breaking details. I'll also go over the breaking details when we're considering the recon vote and the bipartisan. New statements from Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi overnight. They had an emergency meeting last night. You're hearing this first time on this channel. You're also going to hear in this recording a breaking news report about one of the most important items of the last stimulus package, perhaps going to an emergency bill today to extend it. Yeah, there's a lot of things and a lot of moving parts that are just happening in the last few hours. It's a big afternoon's recording. Then we cut to fifth stimulus as well, which raises your benefits up a lifetime, and then we go to the big money across the board. You are killing it. The numbers that viewers are getting for big monies for rent are going through the roof. Mark got $25,000. Nancy, $24,000. Carla, $17,000, and viewers like Mark got over $30,000 from this channel. Nancy getting over $35,000 from this channel. I'll show you how you get this big money as well. It's a big afternoon with a lot of breaking news that's happening in the final 15, the final 7. Let's get to the breaking news starting right here, right now on Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? It's wonderful to be back on this big Afternoons of Afternoons LA. There's so much breaking news across the board. But first, how are you? How you been? Glad to be back with you. Yesterday, I was live on air with a lot of breaking news. Today is taped. Coming up this after this video is a new Evenings LA as well. The weather cooled down here in Southern California. It has been really quite pleasant lately, the last 3-4 days. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. How's the weather where you are? Jump in the live chat as well. There's a lot of breaking news today, folks. I'm going to give you one thing right off the bat. There was an emergency call from Maxine Waters, who of course is from Los Angeles, Southern California here today, to extend the eviction moratorium in an emergency bill. That may go to a vote in the next few hours, if not over the weekend. I'll have more about that coming up. But let's get to fourth stimulus. Fourth stimulus is heating up with additional stimulus checks, potentially coming from those Democrats, and why will you likely get more checks because of what's happening. Then we cut to the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks come to the American people. This is for adults and also for even workers and even seniors. Then we cut to the final 15 minutes with the final 7 days. There's another bill vote tonight, folks, and it's not just something new. It's something we've done twice before. Why do they keep on repeating the vote? I'll explain the details. It's absolutely confusing, but I'm going to make it easy for you. That's the final 15 when we go over the recon of the bipartisan, everything you need to know. And then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up lifetime. And then finally, the exciting news. Viewers getting $20,000 to $35,000 from this channel in the last few days. Viewers getting enormous sums for utilities like $6,500 and monies for SNAP like $18,000 and rent upwards of $25,000. I'm going to show you how you get this big money as well. And this is LA, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. I'm next back with you with Evenings LA at 5 o'clock. Then Sirloin at 8 o'clock. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Fastest growing channel of its kind. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that monthly stimulus check starting right now. The pandemic is far from over, as we now know. So the issue is, how many stimulus checks? Well, way Delta's going, it's looking like the House bill would be the more likely candidate. House bill, pandemic plus 1 year monthly stimulus checks. Senate approach July to December. Let's go over the monthly payouts. House bill, $2,000, first month $1,000 thereafter. Senate approach monthly unknown, but word on the streets the senators would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. It is no longer an issue that the pandemic is not over. It's clearly an agreed upon point. The question is then, how many more checks would be at issue? Well, 4 weeks ago, we thought the pandemic would not be over and the House bill may be reduced to just 1 year checks, which would be 12 checks. Now, in the last 2 weeks, we've gone to realize the pandemic may not be over. Pandemic isn't over. Pandemic is not over. And now, pandemic is far from over. So with that, the House bill would likely pay the full allotment of the bill's language, which is pandemic plus 1 year, which would be more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000 from the House. Compare that to this. And the Senate, I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Who gets a fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent you get a fourth stimulus check. So if you got a third, they represent you get a fourth. Single individual, 75,000 or less. Democrats represent they're giving you a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats represent they're giving you a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Family of four. Democrats represent they're giving you a fourth stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, Democrats represent you're getting a fourth stimulus check. SSI, SSDI, VA, and everyone else. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check is not a different amount for different people. It would be the same for everyone, including adult dependents. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. I learned my lesson wrong like last weekend when I tried that. I was at Mitch's Lobster Fest and I saw him from afar, but I didn't want to wave at him. So I walked up to Senator McConnell. I said, "Hi, Senator McConnell, how are you?" "Oh, hello, LA. I didn't recognize you without your purple shirts on." "Well, thank you, Senator McConnell. How are you?" "I saw you from afar, but I did not want to wave at you." "Well, LA, I'm not a waivable check." I looked at him. I said, "Well, Mitch, you're not even a monthly check. Get out of here, LA." And that was my end of the time at the Lobster Fest. I guess I won't be invited to the Pina Colada event this weekend either. So there you go. In the second part of this video, we go over the recon, which is your money. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under this. The Democrats agreed upon the price tag. They agreed they're passing it, and they've agreed to advance it. So I'm going to go over some of those checks with you. Remember, this is fourth stimulus, not third stimulus. Third stimulus was checks for just children. This fourth stimulus is checks for everyone, including my seniors and my also workers. I'm going to go over that in the second half of this video. In the third part of this video, the final 15 of the final 7, we just literally have a vote of everything. We have a vote every 10 seconds. There's another vote coming up tonight. I'll explain if that vote sounds a little bit like deja vu all over again. It is. Hi, Yogi. It's just going to keep on going on and on and on. No, it's not. It just sounds repetitive because they're trying to get things along. I'm going to go over the breaking news about what Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi's emergency meeting was last night. I'll be going over the emergency phone call from Maxine Waters to Nancy Pelosi last night. And I'll be going over what Chuck Schumer is or isn't doing, and also the promise from Chuck Schumer that this is all going to get done by the August recess. Yes! But first, here's a preview of his stimulus coming up later in this video. We'll be talking about the raising up of benefits lifetime based upon a new benchmark, and that's inflation. What was the economic data this morning, and did that impact as well? I'll explain those details as well. But first, let's get some money. And boy, I wanted to deliver a graphic on camera. I'll probably do it for tomorrow's broadcast because you need a graphic for this. Mark got $25,000 of rent and $6,500 utilities from this channel. That's over $30,000. Lynn, $1,500 for rent, $300 for utilities. Celia got HEAP. Jennifer got $5,000 for rent and utilities and SNAP, but Randy got $6,000 for rent and $2,000 for utilities. Richard got $22,000 for rent. Then Nancy got nearly over $35,000. She got $24,000 for rent, $7,000 for gas, $5,000 for SNAP. And Tiffany got $13,000 for rent, $1,500 for Snap. Pamela $12,000 for rent, and of course Nisi got $20,000 for rent, and Louis got $18,000 for Snap. What's going on? This is what's going on. You have been killing it. Get a pen and paper ready because I'm going to go over all this big money for you in this recording. I'm going to show you how you can get some rent, utilities, mortgage, and homeowners utilities. It was provided to you under third stimulus. And people who are just finding this channel realizing, wait a second, I never knew this money was for you. Knowledge is power. That's what Sharon Epperson said in a new video overnight, where if you don't know about things for your finances, you don't know it's available. So I'm going to show you how you get this big money. But first, what's going on? This is what this channel does. In April of last year, EIDL loan and grant checks were not coming, so there was no check to track. But I got viewers eventually their EIDL loans approved, $25 million of them, and they cashed those checks in fall of 2020. Second stimulus checks were not coming because it was not yet approved. There was no check to track. But I got viewers $250,000 of money for rent, like family of four. Tyrone out of Boston got $15,000 for this channel. This channel is about cashing checks, not tracking them. And now we're doing the same. There's money available for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners assistance. But now suddenly you're blowing the numbers out of the ballpark. A few weeks ago, I said for rent, I could get you $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. You now see multiple viewers are getting over $25,000 because of my videos. Number two, I talked about also utilities, $300 for utilities I can get. Now viewers are getting not $3,000, which I said 2 days ago. They're now getting $7,000 in utilities. And finally, Snap. I said $5,000 to $6,000 of Snap I can get you. Now viewers are getting $10,000 to $12,000 like John and Louis, $18,000. So get that pen and paper ready. I'm going to show you how you get this big money. You're going to reach out to different places with different eligibility. And they also have their own pot of money. So if one says no, reach out to the next. The keywords viewers tell me are critical to getting approved and also finding the right place. You ready? Here we go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus. Or Mitch's fan club. Yeah, what? That does exist. And there you go. If you got money for rent or utilities, post in the live chat right now. Post it right now. Congratulations also to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful pot of money. The next pot of money is Snap. Snap is a fortune. How much does it pay? Louis got $18,000. Yes, Louis. John got $10,000 to $12,000. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, and Gail got it. How much money is Snap and what is it? Snap is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture, reach out to them. Eligibility is even easier than a stimulus check. And how much does it pay? A fortune. A family of four out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year now. Why so much money? Because of two wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump that raise your benefits up 15%. So go get it. I'm really excited for you. If you've gotten Snap, post in the live chat right now. We are only 13 minutes in this video, and you see these numbers. Viewers getting $35,000 from my videos. They're getting $7,000 for Snap, $18,000 for Snap, $6,000, $7,000 for utilities, $25,000 for rent over and over again. Richard, 22, Mark, 25, Nisi, 20, Nancy, 24,000. It's your day to get this money as well. But I got more money for you starting right now. It's the money coming back from your states. And viewers are beginning in that as well. One viewer got $3,500, one viewer got $5,000, and another viewer got $2,500 just yesterday. It's the refund check due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and a computer error. Where's a landing direct deposit? How do you track it? Contact your state and say, hey, state, where's that check due to overpayment of unemployment benefits? And can you track it with a computer that actually works? And finally, the last wonderful pot of money. It is the money coming back from IRS. IRS has now been sending out that money, and Gail got it. Margaret got it, Cod got it, and Michael got it. And we have a new update about that as well from IRS. It's a waivable check. Sorry, Mitch. It comes in waves. On the latest wave, the average payout was $1,265. It started by direct deposit July 14th, and the mail checks went July 16th. There's a new wave every week. But first, before I get to that, if you've not posted your success stories in the live chat, please do it right now. If you got any money, post this. 3 things happen from this, all in which you're helping other viewers. Number 1, when you post your success story, you inspire other people. So imagine when someone hears you post in your live chat, you got rent or utilities or Snap, it inspires them. It really inspires them. That's viewers helping viewers. So post your success story in the live chat right now. Post in every video that you see on this channel. Number 2, Also, it reveals that if you got one item, maybe you should get three items. Viewers have been inspired by Art Sullivan, who got three items, and now it's become a domino effect because you see Nancy got over $35,000 for this channel because she got 24,000 for rent, $7,000 for utilities, $5,000 for Snap. We have Tiffany, who got rent, Snap, and utilities, which amounted to almost about $16,000 total. You had Niece, who got $23,000 from three items, so it inspires people to get three items. Number three, it updates us about the numbers. We think that maybe Snap is $2,000, then we see it's 5, then we see it's 10, then we see it's 18. Boy. So post your success stories right now. Remember, success starts with even a penny. All right, here we go. Where is that refund check coming back from IRS? It's coming this month. Where? Otherwise in the mail or in the direct deposit. How much? Let's say you had paid $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You were paid. And you paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, gave back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov and do a transcript search. And 70% of the time, it'll reveal the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid. It'll also reveal stuff that you wish you never had heard. Like when Mitch appeared on Star Search and he did the spokesperson contest. Was that hair Amazon hair? And finally, reveal the refund check you're getting. Can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your fourth stimulus check update 2021, starting right now. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the fourth stimulus recon. This, again, is not third stimulus, so that was checks just for children. This is fourth stimulus recon. And the price tag was agreed upon. It. The passage of the whole item was informally agreed upon. All they have to do is call the vote. And within the next 14 hours, we're expecting an advancement vote on this as well. That's coming up later in this video. How did they do this? Well, originally the recon had roads and bridges in there, and it was a monstrosity before the July 4th weekend. The Democrats said, I'm not going to vote in favor of that recon with the roads and bridges in there. Take it out. They took it out. They shrunk the recon, put the roads and bridges in the bipartisan, and made the recon passable. It is now passable because they've agreed it's passable to $3.5 trillion. They've also agreed the bipartisan is passable as well in the last 24 hours. The confirmation came from a conservative op-ed over a week ago before the passage actually happened. The higher the price tag is on the recon bill, the harder it was to pass originally. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon initially, roads and bridges, and put into the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. There you go, confirmation. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Well, that was a week ago. Now they're both passable because they both advanced, both the bipartisan and the recon. The recon has been shrunk, but once they shrunk the recon, the progressives were able to add more money in there, and they got it, $3.5 trillion of checks for you. A massive amount, and this is very exciting details across the board. Representative Ilhan Omar had said before that it was critical the price tag was high enough. We want a recon that goes as far as we want it. There you go, Elon, you got it, $3.5 trillion, congratulations. And then Representative Richie Torres said, we have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. In fact, the progressives were meeting with the White House daily to ensure that the recon went big enough and bold enough. They got it, $3.5 trillion. Well, the progressives were protecting the recon in the days leading up to the recent votes. And this was critical. Why? Because the White House had told them that the progressive priorities in the recon are the White House's own priorities, to quote Brian Schatz, a Democrat out of Hawaii, and Jalapo, both Democrats and progressives. So now that we understand that the recon has been passed for purposes of price tag and functionality, but not the final bill, what is the recon? What is the bipartisan? Let's go over the words and language starting right now, and then let's go over specifically what is the recon. When we talk about recon on this channel, you understand what I'm referring to. And when we talk about bipartisan, you also understand what I'm talking about. There's really only two words I use on this channel to describe these two paths, recon and the bipartisan. The problem is that broadcast media and the president use other words, and that sometimes if you hear those other words, you can get confused. Moreover, broadcast media is doing a C-plus effort on covering the story because they're often using the wrong word for the other path. So let's understand the the totality of all the words that are potentially usable. Recon is also called reconciliation. It's also called the budget bill. The price tag of 3.5 trillion is how you'll recognize it, and you'll recognize it by the people quoting the article about it, like a Bernie Sanders. The bipartisan is also easy to identify. It's also called roads and bridges, or the infrastructure. You recognize it by its price tag, less than 1.5 trillion, and you'll recognize it by the people quoting the article about it, like a Kristen Sinema, a Ron Portman, or a Mitt Romney. Okay, pretty easy. Let's go now to your recon. Who writes the recon? Where do they write it? When do we see it? And how does it work? Recon, short for reconciliation, is written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. The GOP has nothing to do with it. Who actually does the writing? The subcommittee members of the House are the ones that do the writing. More about them later in this video. This is important because those House subcommittee members are delegating different subjects to their committee based upon their establishment of the Constitution. They're the lead authors, with the Senate subcommittees also helping them, Democrats with Democrats. For example, under the Constitution, House Ways and Means is responsible for writing your stimulus checks and also unemployment benefits. That's what they're doing. And when those subcommittees are all done, let's say there's 10 of them with 10 pages, they send them all up to Chuck Schumer, and he puts a big S on it, meaning add salt. No. Sassy. No. Seductive. No. Schumer seductive. No, neither of those. Senate. Yes, Senate. S for Senate. And that is your recon bill. More about that bill later in a second. But what's important to know is that until that time, we don't have bill yet. No bill yet. We have an emoji for it. Not bill yet. And it's important to note that under the Constitution, there's no rule of transparency. So they don't have to show you, those subcommittees, what they're writing, what they're not writing, what they're taking in, what they're taking out, what they're voting in favor of, and what they're voting against. Until we actually see the bill, we don't see it. And sort of like a pop singer who has an upcoming album, doesn't want you to hear the songs of the album until the album's released. No big deal about it. That's the way she wants to handle the release. That's how the Democrats are handling the release of the recon Senate bill. So, broadcast media and myself agree that we just don't have it. So, until we have it, we don't have it. In result, then if you see a naysayer say something like, I haven't heard of this in, well, the reason why you haven't heard it is because it's not bill yet. And that's why we have an emoji for it. Can we top that? We can. As Jalapal recently wrote Chuck a letter saying, call the vote on the recon. Well, that's what Chuck is doing. More about that in a second. She wrote Chuck a letter saying, call the vote on the recon, and 12 House Democrats, part of 100 plus House Democrats, who wrote the president letter saying they're going to put monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package, co-signed the letter. 100? Yes, that's a lot of people, folks. 100 plus House members wrote the president letter saying they're putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus recon. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means subcommittee, the same one you just went over? Yep, that same one, recently wrote the president letter saying we're putting monthly fourth stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus recon. Whoa. Boy, Purple Power, you'd have to keep these people to their promise. They promised that they're going to give you monthly fourth stimulus checks, the fourth stimulus recon. Yep. And they said they're giving you a fifth stimulus check next year. More about that later in this video. Wow. Can we top that? We can. As Biden did it, the global minimum corporate tax rate is now actually law. You saw the president now upwards of 6 weeks ago go overseas to have a ceremonial signature. Ceremonial signature was only ceremonial for this, but the actual signature that to make it a law happened just a few days ago. This is the global minimum corporate tax rate, and while it's a tongue twister, it's great news because it's not in the fourth stimulus recon. Number one, it's easier to write the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. Easier to call the vote on the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. Easier to vote on the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. And easier to pass the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. Boy, can we top that? We can. In the final 15 of the final 7, you're going to see a lot of breaking news tonight. That is just happening this afternoon. An emergency meeting with Chuck and Nancy, an emergency meeting with Bernie and Nancy, an emergency meeting with Maxine and Waters and Nancy. There is a lot of moving parts, plus another vote tonight confirmed, and potentially a second vote tonight not yet confirmed. And also what's happening with the finality and the promise by Chuck Schumer, all done by the August recess. Oh boy, I'm going to get over all those details in the final 15 minutes of this video coming up after the commercial break. But is there something more wonderful than that? Yes, the volunteers. If you're in the live chat and you have had problems finding this rent, utilities, mortgage, or internet, reach out to the volunteers. They're viewers just like you, helping you get this money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and owner's assistance. A lot of these viewers had this success by getting it themselves. But if you can't find it yourself after you try yourself, reach out to the volunteers. Where are they? Open the description of this video. Go down the description. You'll see an emoji of a link to a house. Emoji of a house. It has a link to the community page. It's news.la.com/community. On the community page of the volunteers, they're separated by Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them. And here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with the finality of the final 15 of the final 7. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LA with the final 15 of the final 7 with another vote set for tonight and potentially a second vote as well. 3 emergency meetings held overnight and continue to be held today. I'll explain all the details of what's happening with the recon and the bipartisan in the final 15 of the final 7. But first, subscribe. This is LA, 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you for the enormous viewer subscriber growth this week and all the viewership. We're going to have a lot of breaking news all weekend long, so please do not cash out and come back on Monday and say what happened, what I missed, because you're going to miss everything. I'll have new videos all weekend long, and I want you to be with me on Saturday and Sunday. So subscribe. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. This video will take you automatically to there. And then at 5 o'clock is Evenings LA. New shows, both Overnight's Crypto and Evenings LA, and then Sirloin at 8 o'clock. Let's get right into fifth stimulus because the president had promised you this raise of your benefits during the campaign trail. He did not deliver. This was the raise of everyone from SSI to veterans. He did not deliver it. So now the Democratic members of both the Senate and the House are taking care of this for you. And let's go over how this works. This will be fifth stimulus. The fifth stimulus goes to drafting in September, out for a vote about in October or November, and then hitting your bank account by about in November. The benchmark applied in December. What happens? First, they want to raise your benefit limits up, remove the asset limit, add the inflationary benchmark, then remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. Okay, who does this apply to? You. It applies to you. First, they'll raise your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, or SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. It will be raised up one big time under this stimulus. Second, they'll apply the new benchmark. When? Probably in December, right after it becomes law for next year's benefits. What will happen with that new benchmark? It will be inflation. Where is inflation going to go? Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, last week testified on Capitol Hill that inflation will become, by that month, transitory. What does transitory mean? It's a fancy word to mean it's a temporary spike. You mean that in December it's going to reach its highest price point over the next 2 years? Yes, I do. Wow, that's great news. Because that's exactly when they apply your benchmark at the highest price point of inflation over the next 2 years. What perfect timing we could have. How high is that inflation rate going to be? Well, today new numbers came out on the producer price index showing consumer spending, and it was very strong, red hot. And that is not a direct inflationary number, but it's consistent with that inflation is running hot, meaning high. Wall Street last week was using my number 5% inflation at that transitory spot. I'm sticking with my number, 5%. So first they'll raise your benefits up one time, then they'll apply the benchmark. And if it is 5%, your benefits would step up 5%, not just next year, lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. If the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, then you'll be plus 2, plus 5%. Then they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can have more than $3,000 in hand. It's going to go away, and you'll have some room to have some muddled. Did you just call this muddled? Some room to have some blue Crayola crowns and also some stimulus checks. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to the 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. You'll be able to do a pair dance and be able to get married and no longer lose loss of benefits. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to do a pair dance and get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And that's fifth stimulus. Boy. If you're in the live chat and you notice people that have a purple emoji hawk next to their name, and you wonder how did they get that and how are they getting these enormous sums of money, like $25,000 of rent? They've becoming members because as members, I deliver to them daily with a breakdown of all this big money under third stimulus. When second stimulus became a law, there was a $600 stimulus check. I said, yeah, but I'm going to get you $6,000. I got Tyrone, family 4 out of Boston, $15,000. And when third stimulus passed, a $1,400 stimulus check, I said, I'm going to get you $14,000. You see viewers like Nancy, I got $35,000, and Randy, $30,000 from this channel. It's far from over. So consider becoming a member. The link's under the video where it says join here. And with that, right on time for the final 15 of the final 7 starting right now. There's just a lot of breaking news, and I'm going to go as slowly as I can through this because it's very complicated. It's very complicated. I'm going to make it as easy breezy as I can for you. Let's start with your money, the recon. Done deal. The Democrats have agreed upon the price tag, and they've agreed to pass it, and they've agreed to advance it. So let's go over everything you need to know, and that's all Senate Democrats. $3.5 trillion was an achievement, said Senator Tim Kaine, because once you have the price tag, all you have to do is slot the numbers in there. It also was an achievement, as Bernie Sanders says, a historic day for the American people. 3.5 of the recon is all checks. It's all checks for the American people. $3.5 million of them. That recon is, of course, for everyone. Third stimulus was just for children's checks. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about everyone, and includes seniors and also my workers. Now, while we do not have the recon bill yet, I do have some of the initial provisions that are reportedly in the recon, and here are some of the checks. Free school meal checks for all, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, immigration reforms checks, farming checks, election checks, internet checks. They're going to provide fortunes to your local cities so the local cities can start up their own internet company and provide it to you for free. And then we get to more checks like worker checks, independent contractor checks, collective bargaining checks, union checks, Medicare. Then we go to our seniors and their checks. Exciting. Seniors and your checks, eligibility age checks, dental checks, vision checks, hearing care checks, lots of checks. When all this becomes law, folks, I ain't going anywhere because just like I'm getting viewers $35,000 from third stimulus, I'm going to be getting you tens of thousands of dollars from this fourth stimulus as well. So now let's turn to the bipartisan, the roads and bridges. So they had a vote last week, and that vote last week was to end discussion on the bipartisan roads and bridges shortly thereafter. I said at the time the vote was going to fail because they didn't have, it was too premature, but it was going to work because it was going to get them to get moving. And it did work. The vote, when called last week, failed, but it ramped them up, the GOP, to get moving. They worked all weekend long. They're working this weekend as well. And then they came back on, I try to remember which day of the week it was, Wednesday, to do the vote again, the same vote from last week. And it passed. The significance of the vote is that they're advancing the bipartisan roads and bridges without the bill yet, and not and setting it up to end discussion. It means we're proceeding with the legislation. It's not a vote yet on the bill, but this is great news. So what's happening tonight? And this may sound wacko. It sounds a little wacko to me as well. What are they doing tonight? They're doing the same vote again. But you did it on Wednesday. Why do you got to do it again? It's just a way to say, okay, are you still ready? Are you still done? Are you still? It's just a way to keep everyone on their feet, not to end. And so they're calling the vote again, which will pass, to say we're still advancing the bipartisan roads and bridges, and we're setting it up to shortly end discussion. This is great news. Okay, so now let's go back to the recon. The recon and the bipartisan, the recon is set to do the same vote potentially either today or tomorrow. A lot of insiders say, Chuck Schumer has not officially announced it, to advance the recon because Chuck Schumer already had a meeting on, I'm trying to remember what day of the week it was. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, had a meeting on Wednesday or Thursday to ask his Democratic senators, would you advance the recon just like I would advance the bipartisan? And all 50 of 50 said yes. So that is ready to progress. It was a week ago today that I told you Chuck Schumer had an emergency meeting with the Senate Democrats to say, well, if the bipartisan roads and bridges is not ready, would you call the recon for a vote by itself? They said yes. At the moment, it doesn't look like he has to worry about that anymore because the bipartisan roads and bridges is ready and moving along very, very swiftly. Which brings us to the next item. When Chuck Schumer said 2 days ago that he believes that both the recon and the bipartisan will be passed before the August recess. Oh my goodness, that is great news. Now, he is a leader of the Senate, and he's saying in the context of the Senate. What you need to understand is it starts in the Senate, goes to the House, and goes back to the Senate. So it can only mean that comment that he's referring to the entire process. But he's not referring to just the first step. He's referring to his Senate, which starts it and ends it. So he's again said that the legislation, the bills, will be passed before the August recess. Oh my goodness, this is great news. All right, so what happened with Bernie and Nancy in that emergency meeting last night? So what is unfolding between Thursday night and Friday morning is a lot of GOP members trying to play the I'm first in line game. What they're trying to do is the GOP, from initially dragging their feet on the bipartisan roads and bridges, are now trying to get the bipartisan roads and bridges to a vote before the recon, which they've tried before, as you know, but now they're really trying it very, very hard. So Bernie Sanders met with Nancy Pelosi to reassure her that he is not going to allow the bipartisan to go for a vote before the recon. Nancy Pelosi's position all along has been the following. Remember, she's head of the Senate, excuse me, the head of the House. She receives what Chuck does in the Senate. She has said in the last 48 hours, do not send me the roads and bridges first, because if you do, I'm throwing in the garbage can. You must send me the recon first. You must send the House the recon first. So Bernie Sanders got that assurance from Nancy. That is still the position. What is my position on this? What is my opinion? I'm seeing some strange sort of quotes that Chuck Schumer keeps on saying, I'm very excited the bipartisan is ready for a vote. Very excited the recon is ready for a vote. I haven't seen Chuck Schumer in the last few days saying, yes, the recon will go for a vote before the bipartisan. He was saying it earlier in July. I haven't seen it in recent days, and he's sort of celebrating that the bipartisan is ready for a vote. I'm a little I was about to say worried. I'm a little cautious about it because I hope Chuck Schumer stays with what his promise was. Recon vote first on the Senate side when we have a bill, and then bipartisan. Here is something you absolutely need to know, and I'm going to tell you straight off the bat right now. There are some Democratic senators who have given quotes in the last 24 hours saying, you know what? the bipartisan is really ready. It's really ready. And it'd be so great to go back. This is actually the quote. It would be so great to go back to our home state with a very big win of roads and bridges fixed before the break. So I don't see why we shouldn't just get the roads and bridges done right now. Yeah, so I'm seeing some Democratic senators suddenly sort of, not progressives, of course, sort of saying, wait a second, let's just get the bipartisan done first. Remember, that's the Senate. Just if it starts in the Senate doesn't mean it works on the House side. There are some reports that some Democrats are trying to put pressure on Nancy Pelosi, which you don't know, that doesn't work. So what is I'll have a recap for you in a second of all this because I know this is a lot. Let me cut now to this emergency meeting then with Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi. There was an emergency meeting with Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters, both from California, of course, Thursday night. Maxine Waters called the meeting. The concern is the end of the eviction moratorium. Maxine Waters is calling for an emergency bill. I believe it may have already been written to be started on the House side to extend the eviction moratorium immediately, which is about to expire at the 11th hour, the federal eviction moratorium. I'm not clear, and I'm not going to go into great depth because I'm not following what's going on with this one because it was started by executive order. So I'm not quite sure how you extend an executive order by act of Congress. I don't know which thing Maxine is doing, but I full belief in her. But I just wanted to tell you that she's trying to get this rushed through very quickly. I don't see any reason would be opposed, but we shall see. Remember, it would have to start at the House and go back to the Senate. All right, so now let me give you the big recap. Oh my God, isn't that a lot? It's just a lot. The recap is number one. Oh, I still had to do the vote in the. Yeah, there's still a lot to do. The vote and the bill. Okay, so when we see the bill on the Senate side, when we see the bill on the recon, when we see the recon bill on the Senate side, it's not done then. It's absolutely not done. So if we do see, for example, the recon bill on Monday or Tuesday, it's not law yet. We have an emoji for that. Democrats who are both senators and Democrats who are both also House members have both come out and said, we're going to modify it. We're ready to modify it. So if you do see the recon on the next few days and it's imperfect, does not have stuff in there as represented by those Democrats, or has it in there too high or too low or something's wrong, or it's perfect. Remember, the Democrats are ready to change things. We start at the Senate, we go to the House, then we go back to a 2-day vote-a-rama at the Senate. So we're far from over. You have to push purple power. Those final few days are critical to push. Number two, the Democrats have vowed to make changes along the way. And those changes along the way often happen in those final hours. So understand that. All right, now let's do the big recap. So we have two bodies of legislation which have really moved dramatically the compass in the last 48 hours. Bipartisan roads and bridges and your money recon are either called both advancing or are closing in on finally calling the vote on the bill. No date is called yet. No date is yet determined to call the vote on the bill. We have not seen the bill on the recon. We have not seen the bill on the bipartisan. Chuck Schumer's representation is that everything will be passed into law by the August recess. Nancy Pelosi's representation, and she's not changing, is that you do not give her the roads and bridges on the House side first. You give her the bipartisan, you give her the recon first, our money. She will not take the bipartisan first. Number two, there is some pushback from some Democrats saying, call the vote on the bipartisan first because it's so wonderful and I want to go home. Yeah, oh goodness. And finally, there is some external chatter. I want to just sort of address a little bit that there are some parts of the Democrat caucus who are really about to go after other members. What are they going after? They're basically saying, hey, the number one priority is the recon, the $3.5 trillion. But if you other Democrats try to put your bipartisan roads and bridges as a priority above our recon, guess what? We are withdrawing our support for your bipartisan, and your bipartisan will blow up if you don't come on board with us for the recon. So there is some slightly veiled threats that are out there. Do I worry about them? No. That's how legislators do it. They always threaten one another. They're not gonna anger their entire political party for one darn bill about a bridge. That's what they look like they want to do, and they go to the very end and they fold like a lawn chair. So am I worried? No. Am I excited? Yes. I look forward to seeing you next on Overnight's Crypto, which is right after this video. And then Evenings LALATE at 5 p.m. And yes, this was a long video, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel because, boy, there's going to be a lot of details throughout the day. And Evenings LALATE will have more as well. The longest Afternoons LALATE I think I've ever had. Also, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.